So, um, I've always loved technology, and what I like about consulting is that you get the opportunity of bringing something you love, like your passion with technology, you bring it to businesses and to other people, and it just makes other people's lives much easier. Because, like, this is people's jobs are something they're going to be doing every day. And if you can kind of use technology to transform their experience and improve on it, that's definitely going to help. And that's definitely something that's going to bring value everywhere. So that's what I like. I also like meeting lots of different companies, traveling. I've worked with really interesting companies from all types of industries, like social media companies, banks, even mobile networks now. And Salesforce is it's a really good platform because it's something that makes things very easy for people who are not used to technology. So you can kind of incorporate a Salesforce package into a client who might not be so tech savvy, but Salesforce just makes things easier for everyone. So you can very quickly bring value to companies, and it's just like a great package because you don't have to have the best or the biggest technology department. You don't have to have the biggest IT area. Salesforce is something that is very friendly, so it's very easy to take advantage of. Um, and yeah, I've been working with Salesforce for around 6 years, and I continue to see lots of opportunities. There is a lot of demand. There are a lot of jobs for Salesforce positions. And I've been working with CRMs from before. And CRMs are also very interesting because not only do you work to help the company, but it also reaches the customers of that company. So Salesforce is a way that companies can outreach other business or other people, and that is kind of even extending the reach of these solutions because now people interact with businesses in so many ways, like social media, chat, in-person meetings. It's such a dynamic world today. So Salesforce helps you like kind of relate all of those channels, and kind of improve the experience for everyone, for customers, for people who work there, for everyone. So that's part of like what I've been doing, and kind of some of the reasons why I like it. And I don't know if anyone has any questions on what Salesforce jobs are like or anything related to it.
Um, Thank you so much. That's actually really helpful. We've talked a little bit about different jobs, and we're gonna. I think when we kicked off the program, we dove more into the company, the product, and a lot of the lately has been around obviously the curriculum and some special guests. But yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Over the next several weeks after this, we'll start getting back into, okay, here are the jobs again. Here are kind of how the exam's going to look. So yeah, they've got a little bit of a refresher coming back, but yeah, I really appreciate that, Alejandro. We'll come back to you in just a minute. I'm going to share my screen here for the rest of the group. So we have Aranza, Celeste, Wendy, Johanna. I think we're probably going to have a straggler or two come in, Alejandro. What I will tell you is that pretty much everybody left in class is at least a ranger already or getting to that status. I've neglected to update some of this on social media, but these young ladies are really doing fantastic. Out of a class of 14, they're kind of leading the pack. So you've got a group of individuals that have done some trails that I haven't even done yet. And so it's really good and great to see that happening. And a few of them have even gotten some swag and some prizes sent to them. So that's all good. So I'm going to share my screen, and then before we get officially started with the content of today's class, I want to share a little bit about where we are today and what's going on. So right now we are May 8th. It's my brother's birthday. I suppose I should call him. We have gone through, geez, a lot of class since January. We've been going through all of this stuff. There have been some changes, obviously, to the curriculum. Some of them are reflective of schedules. Some of them are reflective of just kind of adding more stuff to the class. But today, the important thing is Alejandro is going to cover desktop and mobile administration. I think some of you may have actually went through a trail or two already of this. This is really to kind of reinforce some of the learnings that you may have had on this. But when we think about desktop and mobile, Salesforce, you can have an app for it. It's really important to understand that not everybody that uses it, because you may have a job where you don't need to log in to your phone all the time to do that. But a lot of people that work on the road, that travel, that are in meetings with customers, it's easy for them to write notes and update stuff in Salesforce if they're on mobile. So we'll go over that. We'll cover a little bit about, an integration with Outlook, but also a little bit about what we call the AppExchange. Think about it as a store, like an app store that you do for your Android phone or Google Play or App Store with Apple. It's the same thing, but it's other applications that you can plug into Salesforce, and it really extends the capability of the tool. So we'll cover that a little bit. A couple of more updates just on the curriculum. Next week, we're going to have a super badge session with Daniela. We also, the second half, we're going to do what we call the midterm exam, which is technically more the end of class time frame. But considering some changes in the schedule, we have a custom-made midterm exam, 25 questions on a Google form. And we're going to spend the class time doing a little bit of that exam. It will probably spend about 45 minutes or an hour to do it. And we'll kind of start to look at the results a little bit. So next week's a little bit of a different schedule. Because of just some of the changes with the project work and some of the project stuff we were going to be working on, we're a little challenged with getting volunteers to help us build that out. So I'm pushing that out just a little bit. And on May 22nd, we're going to move away from Salesforce for one Saturday. And I've just combined a couple of things that we were going to do over 2 classes. For interviewing, I want to look at everybody's LinkedIn. It should be set up by then. And then I'm going to go over as a hiring manager, because I've done about 200 Salesforce interviews over the last, 5-6 years. And I know what to look for. I know the questions that they're going to ask. And I'm going to share with you some of the basics of how an interview is constructed and how to make yourself look good. What's going to be happening probably in June, I'm thinking David and the team have done a really good job of working with different companies to try to get each of you some exposure to Salesforce, whether it's a job or an internship. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to interview. And sometimes the interviews could be a little intimidating for people. So we want to make sure that you're ready for that. No one is mean to you on the interviews. The interviews are fine, but you just kind of want to be ready. I have a strong belief that somebody who's prepared for an interview, even though they don't know everything, but they show a lot of potential, those are big things to look out for, because I can train the technology. I can't train for your potential and your passion. So we'll talk through a lot more about that. And then pretty much the last month is going to be around exam preparation, and we are eventually going to get some Salesforce project stuff happening here too. With a show of hands for the people that are still in the class, or maybe just chime in. Has everybody logged in to Focus on Force? Have you got your account set up?
Yep.
Aranza. All right, Johanna, Wendy.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Aranza.
Yes.
Excellent. Celeste, did you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. So my ask of each of you for the Focus on Force is to set up, obviously, your account, but also start to look at the exam preparation stuff. What I may do next week is log in as well with you and kind of show you kind of how it works, but start playing with it, start taking a test exam. It's all free. And we'll get into that over the next several weeks as well. Let me make sure there's not any other subjects I needed to talk through. David, any updates on your side?
No, sir.
Okay. So from my perspective, I just want to say to each of you that are still in the class, we're very proud of you. This is not easy. We all have other lives. We have other maybe jobs, family, kids. It's very impressive what you're doing. So thank you for sticking with it. We've got a little bit more to go to get through the rest of the class. And we've got a group of individuals that are really cheering for you. So Alejandro, I'll pass it off to you. A couple of things just real quick. You can do it entirely in Spanish if you want. A lot of the classes have been done in English because they're trying to maybe sharpen that skill set too. So if you bounce back in between both, that's perfectly fine too. But I think considering some of the roles that are out there at the companies that we've been talking to in Mexico, there's a need for English skills to support a lot of the other areas beyond Mexico. So just something to keep in mind. But otherwise, for the students, please ask questions, chime in, and we'll get into everything to do with the desktop mobile AppExchange world. Unless there's anything else, I'll pass it off to you, Alejandro.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, I know we have a bilingual group. So yeah, we can go either way. Do you guys prefer Spanish? We can do it in Spanish. Or no preference?
I would like it in English.
English.
Okay. Thumbs
Okay.
up. Yeah? Okay.
All right.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
And if it's easier later to explain something real quick in Spanish, obviously do what you want to do. But yeah, English is the way then.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to interrupt me and ask a question in Spanish, I think a lot of us speak Spanish, so I think it should be fine. Yeah, so let's get started. I will share my screen. And thanks everyone again for joining. It's really great, it's really great teaching a class about Salesforce because you also review a lot of stuff yourself. So yeah, it's great to have this opportunity. So everyone can see my screen now.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we're gonna be covering 3 topics today. We're going to be talking about the Salesforce mobile app, the Outlook integration, and AppExchange, which are 3 different topics, but actually there is something related between Salesforce mobile app and Outlook, and it's just that it makes things easier for users to integrate Salesforce into their usual work. In the end, people in their jobs are using many different tools. If you ask someone, they will probably say they have their email, their calendar, but they also have like maybe some sort of time tracking app where they register how many hours they work. Maybe they have a sales tool like Salesforce. Maybe they have other systems where they look for answers to common questions. Everyone has like 1,000 tabs open on their browser nowadays. Like everyone is opening so many websites at the same time, so many systems. So if we have an opportunity of connecting something that we use on our day-to-day, which is our mobile phones, with Salesforce, it's gonna make things a lot easier for everyone. And the same applies to Outlook. So many people are using Outlook to check their email. So if they have to kind of switch back and forth between Outlook and Salesforce, then things can become a little frustrating because sometimes like you have a lot of windows open, or you have to copy and paste, and stuff like that that takes time away from you. And so of course Salesforce is addressing this, and Salesforce is providing tools that will help add more efficiency to this whole process. And so the same tools that you already have, that you are already used to, become compatible with Salesforce, which is a great thing. And then AppExchange is a little bit more different. I see that Martin added a fun, kind of a fun detail on the chat. He mentioned that the Salesforce CEO, Mark Benioff, actually came up with this idea, and he initially had named it the App Store, because it was basically a marketplace where you can find Salesforce solutions that you can add to your own Salesforce implementation. So for example, if you're a company, maybe you're a hospital, and you want some automatic processes that address some of the most common issues in hospitals. So you might want to go into this marketplace and find a solution that you can install in your Salesforce, and you will already have a lot of customizations that help hospitals like your own. So this is the idea behind Marketplace, that you can exchange solutions with other people, with other companies, and make your implementation much more efficient and much more faster. And he initially named it App Store when he was creating this. But eventually, he was really good friends with Steve Jobs, I believe. So he offered that name to Steve Jobs, and so now we have the iPhone App Store, and for Salesforce we call it AppExchange. But it's really the same concept, and we will go over how to use it, what types of things we can find there, and we'll cover all of that today. So here we have these 3 topics. These are actually 4 trailheads that we are covering. The Salesforce app and customization, that's really connected to 2 trailheads, the Lightning experience in mobile, and another one that is called Salesforce app customization. And then we'll have the Outlook integration one, and then finally the AppExchange basics. All right, so let's get started with mobile. So everyone today is using mobile phones basically all day. Some of us are even addicted to our phones. We're always like connecting with people. We're always checking out the news. We're always kind of receiving like all types of information from there. So of course, since we're gonna be all day interacting with our phones, and some of us, some days we have to go to meetings very frequently. We have to. Before COVID, we were traveling a lot to see clients, and we're just basically moving all day. So you cannot expect anymore that someone will stay in the office all the time. So that means that people don't have access to their laptops all day anymore. So of course, it's going to become very important to be able to access Salesforce from anywhere. So the mobile phone is a great solution for that, because you don't really have to redo your implementation. Like, you can already have everything implemented in Salesforce, and then you just install your app, your Salesforce app, and then you will get all of that same functionality on your mobile phone. You don't have to do things again so that they work on your phone. They will already be there. You just have to make minor adjustments, and it basically works. So it's something that is going to bring a lot of flexibility for people, because and there are a lot of different scenarios for this. Like sometimes, like let's say that there is a new lead that was identified, a new potential client. So maybe someone sends it to one of the members on their team, and tells them, okay, I need you to follow up on this lead, and please try contacting him, and please set up a meeting and see if we can move forward with this lead and convert it into an opportunity. But maybe that person, maybe that person is in meetings all day, and he cannot check his laptop. So, but maybe between those meetings, he quickly checks his phone. He receives a notification that he has a new lead, and then he can collaborate on that lead with other people. Maybe he asks another member of the team, hey, can you please help setting this up? I'm in meetings, and kind of see all of the details related to that lead. I know this person is connected to this company, and see all the history also from his phone. So this will make things much easier for him to maybe assign that lead to someone else, or maybe do a quick action, like maybe send a quick email right away from his phone. It just makes things much more dynamic, because you can have that flexibility of doing your work from your phone from anywhere. So here on this slide, we're seeing the navigation, which is it's going to be very similar. So anyone who already has training in Salesforce is going to find the app everything recognizable, and even the navigation order for their apps. Like, you can customize the order of these tabs on your app, and that will be brought over to the app. So you don't have to redo your customization a second time on the mobile phone, because everything gets
Alejandro, I can see your screen.
Sorry?
No puedo ver su pantalla. Se ve negro. No sé si los demás lo ven igual.
Okay. Anyone else can see my screen?
I can see your screen. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can see it.
It could be a connection issue. Like 2 days ago, I was having connection issues with Gmail, and I saw a black screen whenever someone was sharing. So maybe it could be that issue. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, I will share this deck with everyone, and you will be able to see it after our meeting and review. And even if you want me to go over something again, maybe because maybe the screen was not so visible, no problem for me. Just I will leave you my email address at the end, and you can contact me, and yeah, we can go over that again, no problem. Another thing that's available here is the App Launcher. So App Launcher is a great feature because it allows you to provide different types of apps. So you might have in Salesforce different teams, like people from customer service, people from sales, maybe people who manage projects. You can have all types of teams in Salesforce. So for each team, you can create like an app, in Salesforce, and that will also work with mobile. And that brings some an additional level of customization for mobile users. And then, as I mentioned, you can reorder stuff. You can leave the most important objects at the top, and then kind of customize the experience to what you're usually doing in your day-to-day, and just make it easier for you. So that is another thing that you have here. You have something called Smart Search. Smart Search is another nice feature because it will basically identify which objects you have been using recently and more frequently, and show them at the top of your navigation. So that's another good tool, because then people who don't want to think about how to order their navigation items, they can just use Smart Search and they'll get their most frequently used stuff at the top. So that's another option that we have. We'll see a demo in a minute, by the way, but I'll just go over some additional things that we have here. If you set up some record layouts for your objects, that can be used in both mobile and desktop. But possibly there are some scenarios where you want to do something very specific only for mobile. So there is also an option to have like a separate layout just for mobile and one separate just for desktop. So you can go either way. It has compatibility with both iOS and Android. And if you're using it from iOS, you have it connected to Siri. So you can ask Siri a few different things like, hey, what is my next task, or create a task in Salesforce, those type of things. You can also add bookmarks, and they will be synchronized between mobile and desktop. If you do any custom development, like anyone who likes creating develop solutions, that likes coding, you can do your Lightning component in code, and then that component can be leveraged both in desktop and mobile. So that is also a great tool, because some of us, we take these things for granted. We think, okay, well, that's nothing impressive that you create a component and that it's both in desktop and mobile, but that's actually not available in every system. Like a lot of other solutions, like people have to develop components 2 times, one for mobile and one for desktop. So it's a great advantage that you only do it once, and that it is supported in both types of experiences. Then, as we mentioned, you can assign apps to different roles. The tools that are available on the Lightning App Builder, those can be also used for the mobile experience, and you can use visibility rules so that you can make specific components in a layout visible or hidden depending on who is accessing it. So that allows having even another layer of customization for your mobile users. The best thing of this is that if you already have Salesforce, then you have access to the app. So you don't require anything additional for this, no additional licenses. And even it has offline compatibilities. Like, we have all been in a situation where we don't have really good phone service. And that doesn't mean that you cannot use Salesforce. Like, even if you don't have a good connection, or if you cannot connect at all, you can still access your Salesforce information. Like, let's say that you're taking a flight and it's a 5-hour flight, and you forgot to take some information outside of Salesforce, and you're worried about accessing it. So even if you're in a flight, you can open the Salesforce app in offline mode, and you will be able to get those records. And another thing is for this is kind of more technical. Like if you want to do some testing and like kind of kind of create like a prototype and test it and develop new solutions, but you don't want to release them yet to all of your users. You're still at a stage where you're testing and you're developing. Of course, you will be doing this in a sandbox, not in production, because you don't want to affect the users. So in a sandbox, you can continue to work and test out everything, and you can try it out from the Salesforce app. So Salesforce app will support it in sandbox and in production, and even in developer edition orgs. Developer edition orgs are the ones that are free for us that we can use to try different things out. So you can try this with your own developer, or you probably already have a developer org, which is the one that you use for your trailheads. So there you can also try out the Salesforce app. So let's see how it looks. But just before I do that, let me just show you guys. So here I am logged into Salesforce already. This is a personal developer org, and I'm on the sales app. So here I'm able to reorder my navigation, like maybe forecast is not a feature that I've been using so frequently. So maybe I want to position it lower on the list. So maybe I can drag and drop, and I can move whatever is more important to me to the top. And then I'm gonna save this. I have home, opportunities, calendar. I'm gonna save it. And that change will get reflected on my mobile phone. I will show you in a second. And also, you can bookmark records, right? So if you navigate here, open an opportunity, and then maybe this is like the most important opportunity of this month. So we should bookmark it here on the top right. I can click on the start. This will create like a favorite for this record. So if I am anywhere else on the application and I want to switch really quickly to this record, I can use my bookmarks here. So that is something that I'm also gonna have on my mobile phone, which is great. And there will be other similarities. Like I want, for instance, to everyone take a look at this layout we have here. This is for the opportunity record page. I've opened an opportunity record, and these are the opportunity details. Initially, I have a read-only field, some read-only fields, and I have the stages for the opportunity. I have some details where I can see the rest of the fields. I have chatter where I can collaborate. I have my related list. I have these actions here available. I have my global actions here at the top. Everything here is going to be accessible on my phone. So let me show you how that will look. While I load Salesforce on my mobile, does anyone have any questions?
Alejandro, I do actually. For the offline, do you have to cache before you go offline, or is that not a requirement?
And can you explain what cache is, just in case people don't know?
Yeah, sure. So cache is information that gets stored in your device, and that will make things easier, or will make things load quicker. So, for instance, if you're using a specific part of Salesforce very frequently, that's probably going to be stored in your cache. And so next time you access it, it loads very quickly because you already have a part of it preloaded on your device. So that's like a very general way of how cache works. Of course, there are a lot of other technical details that I'm jumping over. But the cool thing about Salesforce app is that it doesn't make you think so much about these things. It just asks you which objects you require to have offline. So you can select, like, okay, I want accounts, opportunities, etc., and you define which objects you want to have offline, and then Salesforce takes care of that for you automatically. You don't have to remember to sync. You don't have to kind of micromanage the app for that to work for you. So I've used it and I've seen it working very fluently. Like, I haven't really had to do anything specific on it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So 1 second, I'm just loading my phone here. I'm gonna join the Google meeting. All right, and I'm gonna start sharing my screen from here. Okay, great. So I think you should be able to see my phone now. Yeah.
It's still rendering. Yeah, we
Okay.
see your homepage now.
Okay, great. So let me jump here into Salesforce. Can everyone see?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So this is the navigation that I have here. The first thing that I will see here is my app launcher. So there I'm able to switch between my apps. I will not see every app in here. So it's just gonna be the apps that have mobile compatibility, but it's very easy to set up an app so that it has this compatibility. So for now, I was showing you in desktop my sales, and I can kind of refresh here, and it will pull the navigation changes that I did. Like, for instance, I moved forecast to the bottom, and that's here refreshed as well. So any changes that I do in the other, I will also see here. I think calendar is not supported here. Oh, hi, David. I will connect with you in
God, David, calm down. He'll connect with you.
No, thank you for adding me. So some of the items I will not see here because they might not be compatible with mobile, but yeah, you can basically see you will recognize the navigation right away, and you can jump to those records. Here, if you open any object, you'll see the list first. These are the list views. So list views, if we remember, those are kind of already filtered lists of records with specific columns. Those get synced automatically to your phone. So yeah, if we click any of that, you'll see those records. The fields are not displayed as columns. Instead of columns, you'll see cards. So for each card, you'll see those details there. And if you tap any of these records, you'll be able to see that layout I was showing you. So remember that layout, it had at the top, it had some read-only fields, then it has kind of the stages, and then it has the rest of the information, including the details, chatter, related, everything. And then any action you want to take with this, remember there were some buttons on the top right corner. Well, those actions are also available here at the top. You see post, edit, file. Now, you might notice some things are different, and that's because on the desktop experience, The options that you see here are actually available from 3 different places. Some of them come from the record from the upper right corner. Some come from the Global Action Publisher. The Global Action Publisher, it's like a plus icon. It's also at the top right. Those actions are shown on this same list. And then some of the actions appear in Chatter. On the Chatter tab within the record, you're able to create posts and collaborate with people. That appears here on the same list. So you see posts here and together with the rest of the actions. So I guess this is done because you want things to be easier to use on your phone. So all the actions that are available for this record, you'll be able to see here at the top. Okay. And then if you actually want to modify the record, because this is a read-only view, you of course click edit, and then you'll be able to see your full layout, like all of those fields. And so if you're just like, if you just had like a phone call or a meeting and you find new information and you want to quickly update it, you can do that here very quickly. And that way, you know, you don't have to go into your computer at the end of the day and spend like 2 hours updating Salesforce, because you already did those quick updates throughout the day, and then things are very easy for you. So that is a great tool to have. And then, of course, everything you see here is customizable. So you can use the Lightning App Builder to drag and drop components. Like maybe I don't like having the stages here. I like having another component, so I can kind of drag and drop and move things around, and that will also be shown here on my app. Okay, and then I was showing you that on your menu, well, you have your app launcher, so you can jump to other apps. Like for instance, here I added an app for healthcare. This is just a test app that I did. And here I'm able to access other objects. You can, of course, click all items if you want to see every single tab that you have available. And maybe you don't remember which app things are on. So maybe you just go to all items and just find it there. So that can be also quicker. Or you can just use the global search, which is always a great tool to find any record. And of course, anything you're going to be using, any record that you're going to be accessing frequently or updating frequently, I always suggest adding it to your favorites. You saw just a few minutes ago, I added this record to my favorites on desktop. So now I'm able to see it here and jump very quickly to it. And you can star and unstar it here at the top right. That makes it a bookmark, or you can remove it. What else? Of course, you're gonna have your notifications here. I always talk about this feature because you know, Salesforce is used very frequently for getting approvals. Like, let's say that you're working on a deal and you want to give a discount, but maybe it's a very special discount that you're offering. So it might need an approval from someone else. So here, the person who gets the approval request will get a push notification on their phone. So they will notice very quickly, like they don't even have to have Salesforce open. They'll notice right away, okay, I have this incoming approval request. Let me click on that and approve it here from my phone. And they can even add comments and, you know, kind of explain to a person, hey, I'm rejecting the approval because you're not following this standard that we need to use. So please send the approval again. And you kind of can collaborate here. If you get a notification, you can take action on it very quickly. And then if you're using with Salesforce, like with maybe multiple orgs for some reason, you can have here, if I click on my avatar on the upper left corner, you can click change accounts and you can add a new account from there. You'll see your login page. If you click on the gear icon on the upper right corner, you can select if you are connecting to a production instance or to a sandbox instance. And then there are some settings here available also. Here you can see two options related to offline capabilities. We see offline preferences. This is where you select the objects. So I believe it selects the ones that you have been using more frequently, but you can change that at any time. And then here you have your offline caching. I think, oh my goodness, I think the UI changes very frequently. So I haven't seen this option. Let's try it out. I think this is like an additional option that you have that will allow, because I mean this offline capability, it usually works, but sometimes you just want to double check and make sure that all those records that you have been accessing a lot are really stored for offline capabilities. So what you can do in that case is go to your settings and go to offline cache and click start caching. And I think that that's going to be like an extra step that you can do just to make sure that those records are available in offline mode. You don't have to do this, but like if you're already going to a place where you already know that you won't have a good connection, you can take that precaution and go to offline cache. So yeah, that's another thing. Okay, and the great thing about this is that you don't have to log in each time you access the Salesforce app. It uses something called OAuth, open authentication. And the great thing is that it automatically takes care of security for you, and it's very secure. Like that doesn't mean like it's a risk or anything. It's just a standard that we use in the industry. And then, of course, if you lose your phone or anything, of course, there are many ways of deleting kind of the contents of your phone so that your information will not be accessed by someone else. But also from Salesforce, you can disconnect this app. So if you disconnect this app from Salesforce administration, then people will, like whoever accesses the phone will not be able to see your Salesforce information. So there are many ways of managing this, like even covering potential risks or potential problems. So that's more like a technical detail, but it's just useful to know that we have those tools because companies usually have questions about security and all of that stuff. Okay, so I will jump back to desktop for a few minutes.
Nice demo, Alejandro.
Thanks. Stop this. Any questions? All right. Okay, let me share. Okay. Can you guys see my desktop screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so a few other useful things that you can customize here. One of them is the compact layout. Compact layout is just kind of the uppermost component. Anytime you open a record, you see this at the beginning. So it's just a way of quickly identifying the most important information from a record. Like here in this example, we're opening an opportunity. So what is the most important information? Okay, who is the account related to this? Which company are you dealing with? when do you expect to close this deal? What is the potential amount that you are able to sell here? So we have 235,000, and who is managing this opportunity? I can see Madison is managing it. So all this is called the compact layout. And this is not just useful whenever you open a record. Also, you guys already, you might remember, or you already know that there is something called lookup fields. Lookup fields is a great thing because it allows you to connect two different records. So let's say that I have my opportunity record that's connected to a user who is the owner of this record, that's also connected to the account, who is the customer, that is another record. But what happens if you hover over that lookup field is that you will get some information about that account and its related records. And the information that is shown here on the preview, that also comes from the compact layout. So that is also useful for that. And of course, if you're accessing it from your app, you'll see it here, just like I showed you. So then we also talked about actions and global actions, which are accessible here at the top. Quick actions and global actions, just to talk a little bit more about those. Those are just ways of quickly taking some action on a record. Like, for example, maybe you're working on a service case. Service cases are whenever you're giving support to a customer. So maybe you want to have a quick action first when someone is done with that case. So you can create a quick action that is called close case. And when they click on close case, you will show them the fields that are required before they are able to close that case. Like maybe they have to specify what was the solution to the case. Was everything resolved? You have to kind of maybe fill out some last details before you are done with that record. So when you create that action that is called close case, you get this ability to define a smaller layout for that specific action. So you can kind of just add the fields that are required for closing a case. And, you know, this is just one example, but you can use it for many different things. Like maybe you want to quickly create records, so you can provide like a smaller layout to our quick action, and here you customize on that quick action which fields are going to be used to create those records. And even do other stuff like maybe some more custom development, like for instance, you might connect to other systems, like maybe sync with a separate system or get information from elsewhere into your phone. You know, you have a lot of different options, and quick actions are, you can expand it to almost anything. So just to show you how to create some of the configurable quick actions, I will jump here to desktop, to Salesforce Desktop. Here, if I go to setup, so there are two types of actions. One is specific to an object, and that is called quick action. Quick actions are specific to an object. So I have my account quick actions, I have my case quick actions, I have my opportunity quick actions. And then to access those, just go to your object manager within your setup menu, and then open any object, and then access buttons, links, and actions. And then from there, just go to new action, and then you kind of go through these options. You select, okay, what do I want to do with this quick action? I want them to be able to create a record very quickly. I want them to be able to send an email, log a call. Maybe I have some custom development, so I can access that Visual Force page through a quick action, can do updates to a record. This one, update a record, is the one that this is related to the example that I gave you. where you're creating a quick action for closing a case. You can use this one for that. Lightning components, which is also a develop solution, and flows, which is like an automatic process. And in this case, you would use it to kind of connect this record with a wizard. In Salesforce, we call wizards flow. And then, of course, the target object. So if I'm on an account and I'm creating a record, okay, what record am I creating? Like maybe I'm creating opportunities related to this account. So, and then I can also define the label. I can have something completely custom, or I can select from one of the options here. Like I can see new record. New record means that it will automatically pull the opportunity name here, like it will say new opportunity. I can also name it here. This is just going to be an internal name. Every time you add some configuration, don't forget to add a description. It's not just for yourself, it's for other people. Usually when you work in Salesforce, you're working with a team. And maybe people will not know why you created that quick action. So here in the description, it gives you a chance to explain what this is used for. So created for adding new opportunities quickly as defined in the, I don't know, winter 2020 project, something. You can add like more details there. You can define if this will show up in the feed. So that's on Chatter mainly. And you can add a success message and an icon if you want. Once you save this, I think we got a message there. Oh, okay. Thanks, Martin. And then once you save those initial details, you can customize the layout and define like which fields you want to, like in this case, we're creating an opportunity record, so you can use this layout editor to define which fields you're going to be exposing through that quick action. And then once they click on this, they will have to fill this out and to create a record. So this is just one example of a quick action. You have other stuff that's available. Yes, does anyone has?
Alejandro.
Yeah.
Sí, una pregunta. La semana pasada vimos un poco de automatización y vimos la opción de poder actualizar, de crear records y todo eso mediante Process Builder y todo eso. Entonces, mi pregunta es, cuando Salesforce te deja ser redundante, por ejemplo, tú podrías crear una quick action que ya está en un Process Builder y el record se crearía 2 veces o Salesforce no te deja ser redundante. No sé si me explico con la pregunta.
Sí, sí. La respuesta es sí, está el riesgo de que seas redundante porque Salesforce sí lo permite. Pero también lo que pasa ahí es que quizá tienes quick actions diferentes para situaciones diferentes, ¿no? Entonces, igual y, por ejemplo, te puedo dar el ejemplo de los casos, ¿no? Quizá quieres hacer un quick action específico para problemas técnicos y un quick action diferente para preguntas, ¿no? Entonces, ya les creas un quick action que te crea un registro de caso, súper rápido con la pregunta y cuál fue la respuesta, y otro que te permita rápidamente capturar los detalles de un problema técnico, como se les fue el internet o están teniendo problemas para acceder a algo. Entonces, ya como que tú lo haces 2 quick actions para el mismo objeto, pero cada uno tiene su propósito. Claro, alguien se puede equivocar y crear 2 veces el quick action para lo mismo. Sí existe ese riesgo, pero normalmente cuando tienes un proyecto, pues estás llevando el control de todo eso y evitas ese tipo de problemas con procesos de de implementación, ya siguiendo una metodología y ya siguiendo los estándares para reducir el riesgo lo mayor posible. ¿Tienes alguna otra duda o eso te responde la duda que tenías?
Sí, solo tenía dudas si por ejemplo, si creas un récord y si ya lo tienes automatizado, se crearía 2 veces, ¿verdad? Porque tendrías datos duplicados y así. Entonces, ¿cuáles serían como las mejores prácticas ahí? Porque entiendo que el Quick Action es como una manera de automatizar, pues, quizás más burda o no sé, ¿no? ¿Cuáles son las mejores prácticas?
Bueno, en Quick Action hay las dos opciones, ¿no? Que al picarle se ejecuta en algo automático, pero en este ejemplo que hice yo ahorita, esto es para que alguien llene este formato, ¿no? Entonces, en el ejemplo que te di de los diferentes casos, eso es también en donde le picas y tú capturas la información y eso no te genera duplicados. Pero digamos que tú tienes un Quick Action automático que por alguna razón crea registros en automático también. Y tienes esa preocupación que es súper válida. Oye, ¿qué va a pasar si esto genera duplicados sin querer? Bueno, primero que nada, en el diseño de la solución que estás haciendo en Salesforce, tienes que identificar ese tipo de temas de antemano, ¿no? Y ver, oye, ¿hay una posibilidad de que esto me genere un problema de duplicados? Si sí, pues bueno, hay muchas maneras de que puedes tú mejorar tu automatización y que ya no sea tan probable que se genere ese problema, ¿no? Y otra cosa que puedes usar, o sea, hay una parte de Salesforce que controla todo lo de duplicados y te provee herramientas para evitar crearlos. Entonces, en esas reglas de duplicados, eso también está accesible dentro del menú de Setup. Buscas aquí Duplicate o duplicados, dependiendo de si lo tienes en inglés o español. Y aquí vas a ver Duplicate Rules y Matching Rules. Ahí puedes tú hacer tus reglas de, oye, si estos campos son iguales, por ejemplo, en los registros de contactos, ¿no? Los contactos son personas, ¿verdad? Entonces, si el correo electrónico de la persona coincide con el de otro contacto, pues probablemente es un duplicado, ¿no? Entonces, ahí le puedes tú configurar para que te dé una alerta o de plano que te bloquee completamente y que no puedas crear el registro duplicado. Ya te ofrece el sistema muchas opciones en eso. Digo, lo primero es siempre tratar de evitarlo lo mejor que puedas, pero ya si como quiera van a haber veces en donde sin querer los creas, aquí que te dé esos avisos, esas alertas para ya evitarlo, ¿no? Y ya como quiera, aunque se generen duplicados por algún motivo y que no los puedas evitar 100%, que te queden igual y 10 registros duplicados, esos también los puedes combinar. Por ejemplo, si tienes 2 registros para la misma persona, los combinas en un solo registro y ya te deshaces de los duplicados. Entonces hay muchas opciones de manejo de duplicados. Sí, realmente hay mucho material ahí. Si quieren, cuando les mande la presentación, les mando algunos recursos más sobre duplicados, ¿vale?
Muchas gracias, Alejandro.
A ti por tu pregunta, gracias. Okay, switching back to English. Anyone else has any question? Okay, and if anyone kind of wants to know more about duplicates, I will send those resources as well once I send this deck. Okay, so we were talking about quick actions, and I was talking about the ones that are object specific. The object specific actions are called quick actions, but we also have something called global actions. The difference is that global actions don't have to be accessed from a record. They can be accessed from anywhere. The way you access them in desktop is that you click here on the plus icon and then click on any of those global actions. From the mobile app, you do have to access a record to see those actions. That's the only difference. And in desktop, you'll see them everywhere, and then in mobile, you do have to open any record, but then you'll see all of those global actions. Global actions, you'll find them on the setup menu. They are created in a very similar way. Again, you get these same options. I mean, there were a few differences, but like most of the things are the same. Like you can create records, you can connect this to a custom code. You cannot update records here, for instance. It does not make sense to update records because you can access this from anywhere. So really, if you want to add an update action here, you don't necessarily have a record open. So it doesn't make sense to add an update action here. So here you do basically the same stuff, and the only difference is that you can access it from anywhere. And you just have to click on this plus icon and you can select those options. And those actions and will show up on your mobile app. The other thing that we talked about is compact layout. So if you go into Object Manager, open any object, you'll be able to see the compact layout section. Here, you're able to create your own. Let's see, like the best here. So you can specify which are the most important fields here and just add them and save this. And then once you create your compact layout, there is this button called Compact Layout Assignment. You click on that. And then you have to define, okay, instead of using the system default compact layout, I want to use this one. And then to select the one you just created, click Save. I believe that's saved already. Yeah, that should be saved already. And here, once you access, again, compact layout section, you'll see that record and you see that it's selected as the primary. The only disadvantage here is that apparently it doesn't allow you to have like different compact layouts for different teams. So you have to share the same compact layout for everyone. That's the only disadvantage. But remember, you can customize the rest of the layout. So on your details tab, you'll be able to see the rest of the fields anyway. So it's not a major issue here. Okay, so that's compact layouts. That's where you customize it. And again, if you open a record on your mobile phone, the fields that you added here are going to be shown right at the top of the record. Okay. So that was basically the demo of how it works. And let's jump to a different topic now. Before we do that, any additional questions on mobile? Nope. Okay, well, if you have any other questions later, maybe when you're trying these things out, maybe you'll have some additional questions. You can always send me an email. I'll share my address again at the end of this session. So let's talk now about Outlook integration. Outlook is an email client that a lot of businesses use. You might have already used it. It basically is where you can access your email. It's just an application that allows you to view your email, send email, have your calendar. Maybe you want to have your to-do list there, so you can have your tasks there. You can have your contacts. And a lot of people use it. It's a very known tool. It's from Microsoft and works really well with email, and you can have it set it up. You can set it up with many types of email services like Gmail, Microsoft's Exchange servers. You can have a lot of different email services there. So the great thing about Outlook is that it shares many things in common with Salesforce. Like in Outlook, you're constantly interacting with customers. You're sending emails, you're solving issues, you're selling, you're basically working. So a lot of these things, you're already managing in Salesforce. Like maybe you're talking about a deal on an email, and that is already on an opportunity record. You're talking to a person by email, and that person is already a contact in Salesforce. Or you're solving an issue that one of your customers has, and that issue that you're talking about on your email, that's already a case in Salesforce. So all these things that are already in common between Outlook and Salesforce, you can use this great tool that is called Outlook integration. And what it allows you to do is, let me jump ahead a little. So you'll get this button here on your Outlook client, viewing Salesforce, and then you'll get this panel here on the right. So for instance, here, this person is talking to someone who is called Damien. And Damien is someone already registered in Salesforce. So here, this tool automatically identifies that person in Salesforce, and it gives you everything that's related to them. It can give you their related opportunities, if they have any open cases, and you can even create records or update records from here. So you can open up any of these records, or you can click tasks and then set a reminder for yourself that you have to take some action based on this email. And another great thing that you have is that usually when you're working with your records here in Salesforce, let's say going back here to my opportunity, we have this activity tab, and in activity you can have all your tasks, your calls, your events, and even your emails. So if you have this Outlook integration, those emails related to this opportunity can automatically be, or semi-automatically be, added here to this opportunity record. Like you can use this same tool to specify to which record is connected. And in some cases, like whenever you're working with case records specifically, you can have that set up automatically. Like maybe you're sending emails back and forth with a customer, and normally when you have an open ticket with a company, the subject line contains like the case ID number. So Salesforce automatically can identify that subject line and relate that email, that incoming email, to a specific case. So it's that same functionality, and this is a great tool because, like, again, maybe you're having the most hectic week ever. Like you're in meetings all week and you're have a lot of work, and you just want to like get a quick update on an opportunity record that someone else is working. So you open that opportunity and you quickly see, okay, I see the emails here, I see the action, I see the stage. You get everything here. So everything is centralized and you can access it from your phone or your desktop or anything or anywhere. So that is the type of situations that the Outlook integration enables, to have all of that connected. And a great thing, as I mentioned in the beginning, you don't have to jump back to your browser and update that information. From within the same Outlook application, you can do these changes. Like, for instance, now this is my browser. I have 3 tabs open, but some days I have like, I don't know, 20 tabs open. And, you know, things get a bit crazy, and, you know, it's much easier like if I have my Salesforce on my Outlook and I can access it from there, and it's very easy to start you know, updating and getting information from Salesforce right from your Outlook. So let's talk a few more details on that. So as we mentioned, you can see what's happening with the people that you're talking to by email. You have all this functionality available. You can create those records. This can be anything from leads, opportunities, to accounts and contacts. You can relate email messages to records. You can search for records. You can sync contacts and events. So if you have something on your Outlook and you want you want it to appear on your Salesforce calendar, you can have that synchronization. You can have your events on Salesforce records, like if you get an invite and you know that that's related to a case that you're working, so you can have that connection. And then you can also have some critical context added. So you have some smart features here where, for instance, if you're getting an email that mentions, this is a great example. If the email mentions a competitor, someone that is competing with you on that deal, you'll get kind of like an additional node from Salesforce that you can kind of take action on that, like maybe create a task record, and you get those type of quick suggestions from your Salesforce. So that is Outlook integration. And then there is this other thing called Einstein Activity Capture. So Einstein Activity Capture is it's more connected to the email server. So it's very common for companies to use email services from something called Exchange Server. Exchange Server is a Microsoft solution, and it's email services provided by Microsoft. So you can set it up in your server so that as soon as you get something on the server, like as soon as you get a new email, that gets connected to your Salesforce. You don't even have to open Outlook. So this is not something that requires you to have Outlook. You can have a completely different client. Maybe you're even accessing your email from your browser. The great thing about Einstein Activity Capture is that it connects to your server, and then it pulls all of the information from there, and it can sync emails, events. It can sync contacts as well. So it's just like an additional option that we have to integrate email. So today we have people in offices working with all types of devices, right? Some people have their MacBooks, some people have their PCs with Windows, some people use their iPads, their phones. So maybe like this gives more flexibility, right? Because maybe you don't require everyone to install Outlook. They can continue using whatever device and software they're using. And on the server side, they set this up so it works automatically with Salesforce. So that's Einstein Activity Capture. If you go to the Trailhead, it will give you a lot more technical information, like it will give you the requirements. So if you go to those resources, whenever you need to implement this, you can pull up those requirements. There is a procedure with step-by-step on what needs to be done on the Exchange server. We're not going to cover that now because we don't have an Exchange server available. But usually you would work with a tech team, and then the tech team, there might be some people who are responsible for managing Exchange, and then you can share those resources that you'll find on the Trailhead, and then they can just make sure that they are meeting all of the requirements.
Alejandro, does that, I know I worked at Salesforce 6 years ago, and they were always struggling with the Outlook integration. Does this product actually work now?
You know what? I haven't used it recently either. Usually what I've been using more recently is more like the platform features like email to case, those type of features. And then when you get a case created, like for instance, because yeah, I have heard so many complaints about this, and not only Salesforce, like also with Microsoft Dynamics CRM, I've also had that type of issue with Outlook. Sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so well. So I think that should be just an option available to users, and for some people it will work fine. For others, maybe they just want to do it a different way. And I think it's all about giving choice to your users. And usually from like in case and stuff like that, I don't have it set it up here in this org, but I would usually just have them the send email action here, and then they would click that and then send their emails from here, and it would work great. Like they wouldn't have any issues. And this is like huge companies like using it this way. So yeah, I've also had that experience as well. So
Yeah,
I
we
hope
tried
that helps.
Adele a long time ago and just never could get it to work.
Yeah, it can, there's sometimes a mismatch between versions. And also when you're talking about an application that is in your PC, well, you might have a lot of other stuff already installed. You might have a specific version of Outlook. You might have other plugins. You might have firewalls. Like there's a lot of things that can cause problems. So that is a bit expected also, like unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because if anyone ever going back to Outlook integration, if anyone has issues on that, you're not alone. This can be tricky to implement, but there are a lot of resources, and it's definitely achievable, and for some people it's going to be very useful. Einstein activity capture, I personally think is something that can be better because it doesn't depend so much on the client, on the user computers. It's something that resides on the server. So when it's on the server, usually these things are much easier to do. Now, Einstein activity capture is a relatively new feature. It was previously it was called Lightning Sync. So I haven't had that much experience with this yet, but I have seen there are a lot of resources. And anytime you find something in Salesforce that is new or that you don't recognize, don't worry about it. Like there's always going to be a lot of resources. Of course, when I say don't worry about it, I'm just saying you can try it out, you can test it out. Doesn't mean you have to definitely implement it for your users, but you can kind of go to the resources, try it out. If it's something that's going to work for your client or work for yourself, there's no harm trying it out on a sandbox. So I suggest, like, anytime you find something new, like for instance, this is new to me, of course, it's useful to try it out and see if it is a good fit for you. Sorry, guys, I realize it's 10:31 a.m. already. Do we have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The rest of the features are much easier to go through, or the rest of the slides, I mean. And if anyone has to leave and they have any questions, also, of course, reach out, please. Then we have this thing called inbox features. This is also something relatively new. This does require an additional license. This just gives you some tools for when you're sending emails. Like for instance, if you're adding links to your emails, you can, with inbox features, you can set it up so that you know whenever the person clicks on that link. So you can see if the person received the email, if they open the link, how many times they open it, those type of metrics you can get with inbox features. Also, if you want to, maybe like sometimes you're having a crazy week, so you're sending emails like at 1 a.m. And of course, you don't want to send the email at 1 a.m. because then I don't know, you might disturb that person. Like you might disturb is not the right word. You might bother the person. So maybe you want to send it at a more reasonable time. So what you can do, if you're having a crazy week and you're sending an email at 1 a.m., you have this option in inbox features where you can select the best time, or you can select which time you want to send that email. Also, if you want to have like a common verbiage between all your team, like sometimes a company's brand is very important. You want to have the same type of communication no matter who is sending that email. You always want to maybe start with the same greeting, or I don't know, you want to use the same language between all your employees and all of your company. So it also has something that stores frequently used phrases. So you can set it up to store your most commonly used phrases, and then you just copy or kind of click on a button and copy those phrases quickly into your email. Of course, there's already templates. Templates also allow you to have that level of kind of standard communication from your company. But sometimes you don't want to use a template. You just want to use a specific snippet, like a specific paragraph. So you can copy that from your phrases and just write emails more quickly. Okay. So this is how it looks like when you're writing an email. You will get all of those options here. Below the email templates, you have email tracking, text shortcuts. You can also look at your Outlook calendar, and if you see like any open slots where you can meet with someone, you can grab those available time slots from your calendar and send them on an email, and then the person can click on those options and click on the best option for them, and they can and that will automatically create the calendar event for you. So that is one additional thing you have on your inbox features. So that's just kind of like a few additional tools that you can add for people who are sending a lot of emails. Okay, so that's covering the things related to Outlook, things related to Exchange, and to inbox tools. In the Trailhead, if you go through it, it does not ask you to go and set this up. So you will not have to set any of this up. The reason for that is that you require access to an Exchange server. And, I don't actually have access to an Exchange server now, and usually people don't. So don't worry about like learning specifically how to implement this. As I mentioned, the Trailhead is good enough that you know the capabilities, that you know what is possible, and that you can have that conversation when you're in a project. Like, oh, there is this tool, there is this other tool. We can try it out. We can set it up, and then, as I mentioned, all of the steps that are needed to set it up, those are also available there. And once you can meet with an Exchange IT team, you can work with that team and go through those documents and those resources. So don't worry about being very hands-on for this at this point. It's good enough that you know the capabilities, and then eventually, once you have to do it, you can access those resources. All right, so going next to AppExchange. So AppExchange, we talked about it a little earlier. It's kind of like a marketplace for Salesforce solutions. Initially, when you have Salesforce, you will have some standard objects already, right? You have your accounts, your contacts. Depending on the product that you have, maybe you have Sales Cloud. So if you have Sales Cloud, you'll have your leads, your opportunities, your products, specific types of records and objects already on your solution, and some business processes already set up. Like for example, you can convert your leads into opportunities. Those type of things are already available from the product. But sometimes you want to extend those capabilities. and you don't really have a team of developers that can develop a custom solution for you. So in those scenarios, AppExchange is great because you can find all of many different solutions that are related to various industries, and you can quickly identify that a solution that is a good fit for you. You can even try a lot of these solutions out before you buy them. There are also some free solutions that are available here, so you don't necessarily have to pay for the applications that are in the AppExchange. You can use some of them for free, and you can whenever it's a paid solution, you can try them out before on a sandbox. So AppExchange can be accessed in two different ways. One is directly from your app launcher. If you click on your app launcher, you'll see a link to go to AppExchange, and then you'll see this. And you can start searching for your component or see the suggestions here. It can give you suggestions based on what you're already using in your Salesforce instance. Now, the suggestions, I haven't seen anything really, it doesn't give you like amazing suggestions. Like it just gives you some suggestions, but don't expect them to be very very good. But of course you can search, you can just start searching. And the other option that you have is going to the website. Just Google AppExchange, and the first result you will see is the link to AppExchange, and you'll see all of this navigation. Let's just go to it, and I will show you what types of things you can see there. Oops. Okay, as I said, just Google AppExchange. And then you get some suggestions here, some things that are trending. You can see what other Salesforce customers are using. One of these that I've seen it a lot is called DocuSign. DocuSign allows you to send contracts or send any document that needs a signature. So you can send your contracts and you can have people sign them, and then the signature gets stored in DocuSign, and it also gets stored in Salesforce. So you can access it from like no matter which app you're using. If you're using DocuSign or Salesforce, you can see that signature from both. So this is something that's very commonly used. I don't know, we see some things like this is something that apparently it helps for sending SMS messages. Let's say that you have another system, like for instance, maybe you're sending surveys and you're using SurveyMonkey. So sometimes those other service providers, they also have their app here on AppExchange, and it helps integrate Salesforce very quickly with other things. Like for example, there is an app for Tableau. Tableau is actually, it's an analytics solution that offers reporting and dashboard capabilities. It's actually bought already by Salesforce, but there's an app for Tableau, and you're going to be able to access your Tableau dashboards much more easily if you use that AppExchange app. And here you're able to navigate, like you can look at solutions by type, by product, depending on which product from Salesforce you have purchased, depending on your industry. You can even get help from consultants and developers. And I guess it gives you other resources here, like if you want to learn, and here are some, here also we have some some showcases of, for example, apps created by women. And, we have a lot of different things that we can access here. And also, like, anyone can create an app and sell it here. Like, you guys, after you learn how to develop applications in Salesforce, you can create your application and you can start selling it on AppExchange. So that's also an option that you have. So, which is awesome. And so here, you can also search. One of the things that I have used very frequently is something called Salesforce Labs. Salesforce Labs is an area within Salesforce. They create solutions for AppExchange. These solutions, they are from Salesforce employees, but they are not officially supported. What does that mean? If you try to create a support case with Salesforce regarding one of these solutions that come from Salesforce Labs, they will not offer support, unfortunately. However, if you open any of these apps by Salesforce Labs, and you scroll down, you'll get some, you will usually get some resources here, like at least you get a description, and sometimes you get even some documentation here in customization guides. You'll be able to see user guides, surveys, post-installation guide, instructions, source code. Even it gives you the source code sometimes. So if you have a developer within your team, they can even modify the solution. Instead of doing something from scratch, they can grab something from here, modify it, and then use it on their org. Now, this doesn't apply to every solution. Not every time you'll get a source code, and it's only seen in free solutions mostly. So since this is free, like, it's more common to have the source code available. As I mentioned, you have this option of test driving it. And you can also just, if it's free, you can just install it on your sandbox or in production. Now, what is a test drive? Test drive is whenever this solution, sorry, let me start again. Test drive is like, if you don't want to install this on your org to try it out, you can click test drive, and that will give you access to a different org where it's already installed for you. So you can just immediately start trying it out. So this is something that can help you test it without installing it. If you do decide to install this, you just have to click Get It Now. Then you do have to log in. So here, I'm gonna go ahead and log in into my developer org. I'm getting this authentication prompt on my cell phone. So that this is my two-factor authentication setup. 1 second, I just have to approve it from my phone. Okay, approved. Okay. I'm having an issue, it seems.
It's very secure. You can't get in.
Yeah, it seems so.
Alejandro, mientras tanto, una pregunta. Cuando instalas una aplicación del AppChange y tú ya tienes información, por ejemplo, en tus contactos, y este AppChange que instalas tiene ese objeto, ¿los datos se cargan al AppChange o es como empezar de nuevo?
O sea, en el ejemplo que describes, ¿qué es lo que estás instalando? Perdón.
Por ejemplo, instalas una app que tiene el objeto contactos. Y tú ya tienes en tu org contactos, ¿no? Tienes contactos dados de alta. Entonces, mi pregunta es, cuando instalas el app, ¿estos contactos se cargan o tienes que darlos de alta o algo así?
Ok, muy buena pregunta. Mira, básicamente, Cuando instalas una app, estás agregando cosas nuevas a tu sistema. No vas a volver a instalar algo que ya viene out of the box con Salesforce. O sea, como contactos es un objeto que ya viene con Salesforce, ya no vas a encontrar una app que reinstale eso. Lo que sí podrías encontrar es quizá una app que agregue procesos automatizados relacionados a contactos. Puede ser que agregue layouts, page layouts que son nuevos, puede ser que agregue algunos quick actions, no sé, que te sincronicen los contactos con algún otro sistema, puede ser ese tipo de cosas que extiendan la funcionalidad de contactos, no que la vayan a reinstalar o reemplazar o lo que sea. Esa es una parte de la respuesta. La otra parte es, cuando tú instalas algo, normalmente no tocan nada de los datos. O sea, lo único que estás metiendo aquí son configuraciones, puedes estar metiendo también código, o sea, soluciones desarrolladas, pero no estás metiendo datos generalmente con estas soluciones. Entonces, no tienes de qué preocuparte, no va a borrar registros, no te los va a modificar, no va a hacer ese tipo de cosas. Ahora, si por ejemplo agregas una solución que te mejora el objeto de contactos con layouts nuevos y con botones nuevos y con funcionalidad nueva, y tú ya tenías registros de contactos, pues ya esos mismos registros siguen estando ahí, y quizá cuando abres esos registros nada más ves opciones adicionales, ¿no? Como el Quick Action nuevo que te agregó la solución que instalaste, y puedes usarlo con tus registros existentes, y no tuviste que hacer nada, porque las soluciones instaladas no tocan nada de los datos, pero sí los pueden aprovechar, ¿no? ¿Eso resuelve tu pregunta?
Sí, claro, es que sí, como que sí preocupa, ¿no? Que, bueno, me preocupa esa parte, quizás cuando tienes algo ya tan avanzado y quieres crear algo nuevo y en lugar de crear ves si ya existe, ¿no? Y
Exacto.
entonces dije, ¿qué tal que se instala sin nombre? Perdiste todo, no sé.
Sí, sí, muy buena pregunta, y sí, es una preocupación súper válida. También otra cosa, la recomendación es nunca instalar estas soluciones en producción. Producciones donde ya los usuarios reales ya están usando Salesforce. Entonces, no quieres afectar a esa gente que ya está usando Salesforce. Quieres probarlo primero. Entonces, esto tú lo puedes instalar en un sandbox. El sandbox es una copia de producción, y es una copia donde tus usuarios reales no están, es una copia que tus usuarios reales no están usando. Entonces, ahí tú puedes probar este tipo de cosas, sin afectarle a nadie, checar cómo funciona con tus otras aplicaciones que ya tienes en Salesforce, checar cómo funciona con los registros, y pues nada más asegurarte de que todo esté bien. Okay. So I couldn't install this, but I can show you. There's probably some images here. So let me just use Google a bit. Awesome. So Google Images to the rescue here. This is what you would see if you're installing a solution. You basically get these options. You can install for admins only, install for all users, or install for specific profiles. If you're just trying out the solution in a sandbox, you can install it just for your admins. But if you maybe want to see how that solution works for other types of users, you can click here, install for all users. This will just give the permissions so that people can access your installed application. And then once you decide if you want to install for who you want to install, you should read any warnings here. sometimes if you're not installing a solution that is hosted in AppExchange, it will give you this warning message, and it will ask for a confirmation. But if it comes from AppExchange, you will not see any warnings here, and then you can just hit install. If you already had this solution installed before and you're just updating it, it will here show you as well that it's an update. Okay. And then once you install, you'll just see like a loading screen. Usually it takes a few minutes. And then in order to see the status of that install application, you just have to go to your setup menu. And then you go to install packages. And there you'll be able to see the solution that you install from AppExchange. Now, another thing that is important to mention, AppExchange, before someone can add their solution to AppExchange, they need to go through a security review. So Salesforce actually takes care of ensuring these solutions will not be harmful for people. Like, you don't have to be worried about, I don't know, getting hacked or, you know, installing something that will mess up your implementation completely or maliciously, because all of the solutions that are hosted here already, they have gone through that security review. And Salesforce is very thorough with this. Like they make sure that everything is perfect in terms of security. I've seen clients try to, like, I worked with a bank once that wanted to have it wasn't a bank. It was a company that offered services to banks, and they wanted to have their app hosted here in AppExchange. And I can tell you the security process is very, very strict. So that is one additional security that we have for all of these apps that are hosted here.
Last question. Es cuando para entender un poco mejor, las aplicaciones que se instalan del AppExchange no tienen injerencia en cuanto al setup de la org, es decir, no mueven permisos ni jerarquías ni nada, solamente se meten en cuestión de los objetos, es decir, que una app no te puede mover permisos que tengas asignados a usuarios y así, o hay aplicaciones que llegan a hacer eso.
Generalmente no te va a mover tus permisos existentes. Lo que va a hacer, lo que puede hacer es introducir nuevos permisos que puedes asignar a tus usuarios, pero tú eliges si esos permisos se los quieres dar a tus usuarios o no. Y esos son completamente nuevos, no son los mismos que ya tenías. Por ejemplo, no sé, digamos que instalas esto que se llama Distribution Engine. Distribution Engine es una aplicación que te permite asignar automáticamente registros de leads con reglas muy sofisticadas. Es una aplicación muy, muy útil, utilizado por empresas muy grandes. Incluso Salesforce lo utiliza. Entonces, cuando tú instalas Distribution Engine, se agrega el permiso de administrar Distribution Engine. Entonces, tú puedes decidir quién va a tener el permiso de gestionar esta solución. Y entonces, ese es un permiso nuevo que te agrega, ¿no? Y ese tipo de cosas te puede agregar, o sea, permisos adicionales que tú puedes decidir a quién asignar. Y generalmente no te va a modificar tu configuración existente, pero hay veces en que puede haber conflictos entre estas soluciones que estás instalando y otras soluciones que ya tienes. Salesforce tiene muchos mecanismos para evitar eso, pero pues como quiera vale la pena hacer una prueba asegurar de que todo funcione bien y que todo haga sentido antes de realmente llevarlo a producción, ¿no? Y como les decía, por ejemplo, esta solución tiene un costo de $25 por usuario por mes. Entonces, digo, ahí puedes informarte mejor antes, ver un demo, contactar al proveedor, y ver un poquito más de información sobre esta solución antes de instalarla, ¿no? Y asegurar de que funcione bien. Por ejemplo, esta solución en específico asigna registros de leads, pero también tú puedes tener tus lead assignment rules. Entonces, esta solución no te va a modificar tus lead assignment rules, pero si tienes dos procesos diferentes que están asignando los registros a diferentes personas, pues te puede generar un problema. Entonces, ese tipo de cosas las puedes probar antes, nada más para asegurarte de que no pase nada incorrecto. ¿Ok?
Claro, sí. Perdón. Muchas gracias.
No, gracias por la pregunta. Ok, chicos, pues creo que ya vamos a acabar. We're finishing now with the presentation. I will, of course, share it with you guys. And I just want to see if you have any last questions.
Alejandro, thank you so very much for your time and for pouring into these students. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And if anyone wants to reach out, here's my email address, and also you can, of course, we can connect in LinkedIn. In LinkedIn, you can find me under my full name. And yeah, we can stay in touch. And if you guys need anything, please send me an email or send me a message on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to help you with anything you need.
Thanks, Alejandro.
Yeah,
Gracias, Alejandro.
Thank you.
and if you have
Saturday.
any final,
I'm sorry, Joanna. I apologize. Go ahead. Speak up.
I'm sorry. Sí, Alejandro, si tuvieras algún programa de practicantes o algo, estaría increíble.
Sí, claro. Si gustas escribirme por correo, por LinkedIn y lo platicamos.
Claro, gracias.
Okay. No, ustedes. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
See you.